Everyone, this is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and welcome to my first official SpongeBob review for the year 2024. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to my good friend Luke V for this video. Is because that it turns out that Saving Bikini Bottom has been leaked. Yes, it was a huge surprise to hear that the movie has been leaked, and Luke actually sent the video onto a Discord server that I'm in, and I watched the movie in its entirety. And I'm here to give you guys a small little mini review of the movie without spoiling too much, but I will be pointing out some highlights or some of my favorite moments of the movie without going into spoiler territory. So, Saving Bikini Bottom is the Sandy Cheek spinoff movie that was supposed to come out on Netflix earlier this year. The movie has been leaked, but I don't think there has been like an official release date yet, but the movie has been leaked. And already, I'm going to tell you guys right now that this movie, in my opinion, is better than Sponge on the Run. This movie is a huge improvement from Sponge on the Run, and it actually takes some liberties to come up with unique ideas and to give characters unique backstories and whatnot. And so, yeah. So, first off, let's talk about the animation. So the animation in this movie is similar to Sponge on the Run. It is a 3D animated movie. It's the same stylized stop motion style 3D animation without it being stop motion, meaning that the frame rate of the animation is a little lower than usual. So the animation is already a 10 out of 10 in this movie. It's the same 3D animation used on Sponge on the Run, which was pretty unique. And this is another live action animated hybrid movie where the villain in this movie is a live action character. So basically the plot of this movie is that Sandy and SpongeBob must save Bikini Bottom when a threat from above the ocean takes Bikini Bottom into the heart of Texas, where the villain's headquarters is at. So basically Sandy is actually a part of this lab association by the name of Boots. It's actually an acronym, and I'm not going to tell you what each of the letter of the acronym is, just because that would be going to spoiler territory, and I have already forgot what it was. So all I'm going to say is that the acronym for this lab that Sandy works for is called Boots, and it's actually this water park. It's basically a lab for a water park, basically, and the lab assistants had came to Bikini Bottom and took everything from the city. So so everything comes out from the waters and it gets taken to Texas. I think it's called Glenville, Texas, or something. I've already forgot the name of the city, but it starts with a G. It's some city in Texas that starts with a G that I already forgot the name. I mean, I already knew what the name was, but I'm probably butchering the name of it. But anyways, and so it is up to SpongeBob and Sandy to go to Texas to save Bikini Bottom and to get to the bottom of the mess of what's going on. So here are some of the highlights of the movie that I really enjoyed from this picture. First of all, this movie is well paced. The pacing in this movie is a lot better than Sponge on the Run. And I will have to agree with everyone's criticisms with Sponge on the Run, especially the part where SpongeBob and Patrick drives into a desert and then they see Karina Reeves, which is the character who plays Sage in the Tumbleweed. That part of the movie drew the most criticism because it was mostly filler and didn't develop any of the characters or serve purpose to the story. And now that I think about it, I can somewhat agree of those folks, is because that now that I think about it, when I saw this movie again for a second time, because the second time I saw this movie was on a voice chat session, and now that I think about it, I can see why people aren't a fan of that scene, and I can somewhat agree with them that it kind of does feel like filler, even though I somewhat enjoyed that scene when I first watched the movie. But now thinking about it again, I can see why that scene felt filler to most people, and I can see and I can understand the reasoning. But on Saving Bikini Bottom, this movie doesn't have any of that because it actually feels like an actual movie. It actually feels like the characters are going on a journey to save Bikini Bottom, and it actually feels a lot longer too. So yeah, another highlight of the movie is Sandy's family. So yeah, so Sandy's family is in this movie. We get to see Sandy's dad, her mom, her grandmother, and for the first time in the series, Randy Cheeks, which is Sandy's twin brother. If you guys didn't remember the episode Rodeo Days, Sandy mentioned that she had a twin brother named Randy, and the SpongeBob team actually finally brought him into the series, and that was pretty cool. And we also see Sandy's niece and nephew, but it's not the nieces from Sandy's Nutty Nieces. It's not Pistachio, Macadamia, and Hazelnut. It's not those nieces. Instead, it's another two group of kid squirrel characters, which I believe are her other nieces. I'm sure those are her nieces and nephews, but it's not Rose. It's not Macadamia, Hazelnut, and Pistachio, but it's another niece of hers and her grandmother. And what's really cool about Sandy's family in this movie is that they're actually part of a circus. Yeah, that's another interesting part of this movie, is that Sandy's family all relates to a circus, which is really cool because even though that Sandy's family are from Texas, I would have thought they would have went, oh, they're like Texian. I mean they like to ride on bulls and lasso, stuff like that. But no, they went with a completely different route where Sandy was actually a part of a circus. And I know that's kind of like retconning or something. I mean, I really can't call it retconning. It's because I don't think we've ever dove deep into her that trait before of her character. But I really do like the idea of Sandy's family being circus performers, and that was really cool to see. And another cool thing about this movie is that they actually gave Sandy a new trait where she can actually glide like a flying squirrel. That was another interesting trait that they did with this movie. And this is exactly why I'm so happy that SpongeBob is still continuing. It's because they're coming up with these unique ideas for these characters that we've may have never seen before in the series, and that's why I love the fact that the show is still continuing, so they can evolve on the show and come up with these crazy, unique ideas for the characters to deal with. And then people over here saying, "Oh, the show should have just ended after the first movie," and I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys, that first SpongeBob movie is so overrated. It is, because I don't know why people... I mean, I'm sorry to ruin your childhoods and whatnot, but can we all agree that the first movie is overrated? Because it is at this point. Because, honestly, it doesn't even feel like a proper series finale to begin with, because, first of all, Sandy was barely used in that movie. All she says is 2 lines, and... I mean, yeah, it is a good movie, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite SpongeBob movie. But either way, I'm going way ahead of myself. But yeah. Another interesting new character that I really liked about this movie are these rattlesnake characters. That was a really unique thing about the movie. Are these they introduced these CGI rattlesnake characters, which were pretty fun to witness. And the villain, her name is Tsunami. Yeah, I won't tell her motive. I mean, I will tell her motivation, but I'm not gonna actually talk about like the climax or anything that happens at the end of the movie. But basically, the reason why Sandy's lab facility named Boots kidnapped Bikini Bottom is to basically make profit out of them for a water park. So basically, she explains to her lab subjects that they were basically gonna turn SpongeBob's friends into like these merchandise toys to sell at this water park, and that was her big motivation. And already this plot is way better than freaking Sponge on the Run, where that plot was, oh, we gotta rescue Gary from King Poseidon. And and basically Sponge on the Run was basically a diet version of the first SpongeBob movie, where it was just SpongeBob and Patrick going on this road trip to save Gary. While on Saving Bikini Bottom, it does have a similar premise, but this time it's with SpongeBob and Sandy, which is really unique. And yeah, so it does have a very similar character pairing, where there's actually 2 sets of characters, where it's SpongeBob and Sandy this time, and not Patrick tag along. So that's another interesting thing. While in Sponge Out of Water, it was SpongeBob and Plankton teaming up in that movie. So yeah, that's actually really cool to see that all these four movies had SpongeBob teaming up with someone. The first movie being with Patrick, the second movie being with Plankton, and the third one being with Patrick again. And now in this fourth movie, which is the Sandy Cheeks movie, it's him with Sandy. So overall, this movie was fun. I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie way more than Sponge on the Run. The story is a lot better. It actually felt like the pacing was a lot decent because it actually felt like they were going on an adventure, unlike with Sponge on the Run, where they just went to that desert location and then they immediately arrived at Shell City. Atlantic City. I'm sorry, Atlantic City, which is this casino place. But yeah, so that's my review. That's my little mini review on Saving Bikini Bottom and Sandy Cheeks movie. Yeah, the movie has been leaked out there. And yeah, so I probably won't share a link to this movie just because I've already told you guys that I don't share links. So you're just gonna have to wait for the movie to come out on Netflix. That's all I can say because that's all I'm gonna say with that. So you guys can wait for the movie. So yeah, so thank you all for watching this review, and I will see you guys next time with more SpongeBob reviews once an actual episode comes out on Nickelodeon. So goodbye, everyone.